Okay, everyone, it's time for Chapter 6 Vital Equipment. Notice to all Marineris colony residents, Sol 99, Mars year 57. This is a reminder that all equipment within the colony is of the utmost importance to our survival and is exceedingly difficult and costly to replace. If a heater is broken, a cooling system fails, or a beaker gets broken in the lab, shipping replacements from Earth can be costly. As such, all high energy activities are discouraged, except for when using gym equipment. Please refrain from running, throwing, kicking, or dancing in any room containing valuable equipment. The survival of the colony could quite literally depend on it. Sol 100, Mars year 57. Dear Diary, I'm grounded. I'm not allowed anywhere except home and the schoolroom where Miss K or Mum can accompany me. What does grounded mean really? Does it mean that you're planted in the ground like a potato? Does it mean that you live underground like a mole? I mean, it's true, I do live underground, but so does everyone else on this silly planet, apart from maybe the aliens. Or does being grounded mean you can't take off? Even now, shut in my bedroom, I can still jump higher than I ever could on Earth. Ha, you can't ground me. I'm not grounded because I smashed a rock. That was an accident. I just got warned to be sensible next time. I'm grounded because of what happens next. The story is a long one, so settle in. I'm going to tell you everything. After all, it's not like there's anything else for me to do. It all started when Elijah's mum said that she had a fun art project for us and summoned us to the greenhouse. Look at all this beetroot, said Elijah's mum. If you've never seen a beetroot freshly dug from the ground, they are like knobbly purple juggling balls with heads of leafy hair. Today, we're going to make beetroot paint. Elijah pointed out that he already knew how to make beetroot paint, so his mum said that he could help to teach me. Apparently, on Earth, they had their own allotment full of carrots, pumpkins, and sunflowers. I thought that making paints sounded like fun, more fun than anything else on Mars anyway. We grabbed Ellie Mae and headed for the kitchens. To make beetroot paint, you need beetroot, water, and corn flour. Number 1. First, chop the beetroot up into very small pieces. 2. Next, pour boiling water over it and leave it to cool completely. 3. Then pour the mixture in through a sieve to get out the lumps. 4. Finally, mix the corn flour into it to make it a purple paste. Now, just so that you know, I'm going to pause there for a second, just so you know, we are going to be making beetroot paint tomorrow. So I don't know if you remember, I asked your mums and dads that you need beetroot and corn flour for Thursday, because tomorrow we are going to make some beetroot paint. Anyway, back to the story. Okay, Ellie Mae is too young to use a sharp knife or to pour boiling water, so we had to do those steps for her. She is very good at mixing, though, so good that she splashed purple paint all over her green dress. We just finished mixing the paint when Mum turned up, looking for me to check that I hadn't got myself into trouble again. As if, when she saw the paint, she went to fetch scrap paper from the lab for us to paint on. There's almost no paper on Mars because it's another thing that has to be shipped from Earth. You can draw some really interesting pictures around scientific graphs and data tables if you're creative enough, though. Ellie Mae turned a pie chart into an enormous flower, and Elijah turned a line graph into an exploding volcano. I turned a histogram into an alien city with skyscrapers and hot air balloons and Martian bicycles. I showed it to Mum as she said it was very imaginative. All of a sudden, the alarm went off and the LED display flashed up on the canteen wall. Biolab cooler, major fault, all hands to the biolab. I set off at a run, but Mum pulled me back. Where are you going? She asked. It says all hands, I pointed out. I don't think that you children will be much help, said Mum. Stay here and keep out of trouble. We'll be back as soon as we can. Then she muttered so quietly so that I could only just make out. Haven't had a chance to investigate yet. Precious samples. As she and other grown-ups rushed away, we were left alone with noisy alarms and purple paint. We soon ran out of scrap paper to paint with. That was when I had an idea. Ellie Mae, how would you like it if I fixed your dress? Ellie Mae was still splattered with purple spots. They were definitely going to leave stains. I thought we could at least turn the spots into pretty designs so that they looked deliberate. Yes, please, said Ellie Mae. Soon, all three of us were painting purple stars and moons and planets all over Ellie Mae's dress. Then, from absolutely nowhere, she asked us the most wonderful question. Do you want to play with my ball? What? I yelled. You have a ball? A real-life ball? I couldn't believe that Ellie Mae had a ball all this time and she'd never mentioned it. We could have been playing Martian football or alien catch instead of endless I Spy. Yes, said Ellie Mae, acting as if everything were perfectly normal. So, do you want to play? Yes, please, come on, let's go. Together, we bounced along the deserted corridors towards Elijah and Ellie Mae's flat. The lights buzzed and our footsteps echoed. All work around the colony had stopped as everyone had been called to the biolab. There was no one about anywhere. That was until a figure flew out of the doorway and crashed into Elijah. Watch it, snapped the figure. It was Letitia. I wanted to pull a silly face at her and keep walking, but Elijah is nicer than I am. I'm sorry, Letitia, he said. I didn't see you. Do you want to play with us? No thanks, I'm going to play with my own friends. She looked at Ellie Mae up and down, taking in her newly improved dress. Paint that yourselves, did you? She said, in a way that suggested that she didn't think much of our art skills. Ellie Mae didn't notice the sneer in her voice. There's still some paint left. We could decorate your clothes too. No chance, Letitia scoffed before flouncing down the corridor. I was glad. I didn't want to play with Letitia anyway. In Ellie Mae's bedroom, we all gazed in awe at the ball. It was a football-sized inflatable sphere made of glittery purple plastic, which swirled like the gases of Jupiter. The first game we invented was small enough to fit inside Ellie's tiny bedroom. We threw the ball hard at one another and then dived out of the way. Wow, look at the ball there. There's Ellie Mae with all her stars painted on her, and Jazz and Elijah. The competition was to see how many times it would bounce from wall to wall before it hit the ground. I held the record at 5 bounces, until Elijah lifted Ellie Mae onto his shoulders, and together they got 7 bounces. Then we decided to go into the corridor where there was more space. We played football where Ellie Mae and Elijah were both goalies, and I was trying to score all the goals. Only there still wasn't very much space, so I couldn't get any goals in. Even Ellie Mae was big enough to block the corridor if she stuck her arms and legs out like a starfish. I wish that we could just borrow spacesuits and go outside, I said. I imagined bounding over the red dust of Mars in a rubber suit, chasing the purple ball across the rusty valley. Then Ellie Mae said, what about the greenhouse? Of course, the greenhouses are huge. Yes, there's plenty of room to run around between the vegetable patches. We galloped down the corridor, me holding the ball and Elijah holding Ellie Mae's hand. As we passed the labs, we heard lots of noise and bustling. This was where all the grown-ups were, trying to fix the major fault. Some of the grown-ups leaped out of the door, heading back to their business, but I didn't really think about it at the time. We raced into the greenhouse, only to find that all the other children in the colony were there already. Some of them were skipping, some were strolling around or playing with toys on the floor. Letitia sat with her other friends on the low wall around the tomato bed. They were making friendship bracelets. Let's play over there. I pointed in the opposite direction. We quickly decided where the goal would be, and we took turns to be the goalie. The game didn't really work though, as the ball kept flying so high over our heads that we couldn't even kick it. That's when Elijah suggested that we invent a new game called Mars Ball. It was a good idea, but first we had to do some scientific experiments to find out the best rules. The rules that we decided to test first were: number 1, anyone can touch the ball with their hands or feet. Number 2, if you pass the ball, it has to bounce on the ground at least once to be a valid pass. Number 3, to score a goal, you have to shoot between 2 goalposts, but the ball can go as high as you like. We never got the chance to try any other rules, and now we never will. "You'll get into trouble if you break something," said a voice from the pepper patch. It was Letitia. She'd come over with her friends just to annoy us. "If you want to play, you have to ask nicely," I told her. "It's a good thing that I don't want to play then. I don't want to get sent back to Earth for breaking something." "Could that really happen?" asked the worried Elijah. I told him not to be silly. Letitia was just winding us up. We had just switched so that Elijah was in goal with Ellie Mae and I was trying to score. That's when the grown-ups started to trickle into the greenhouse. I was taking a free kick because Ellie Mae had caught the ball before it bounced. I placed the ball between the potato patch and the herb bed, took a few step backs, ran at the ball, and slam. The ball flew into the air, high over the heads of the children, high above the artichoke plants and the beanstalks, and crashed into one of the overhead lamps dangling from the roof. Little pieces of lamp rained over the greenhouse and, splat, the ball landed on a patch of ripe melons. That's when a shadow fell over us. It was Elijah's mum, back from the emergency meeting. She wasn't angry, she was raging. "You three get out of the greenhouse right this second." Her face was all scrunched and twisted, and she was shaking like leaves in a storm. We all stared at the ground as we shuffled from the greenhouse. I don't feel like telling the rest of the story. Imagine lots more grown-ups, lots more yelling, unhappy grown-ups, and being dragged to offices belonging to scary people you've never met before to discuss the seriousness of breaking a heating lamp that the colony relies on for food. Then imagine being sent straight to bed and sobbing in your pillow for hours and hours and hours because it's not fair. Imagine all of that and you'll feel a teeny bit like I do now. And we've got another Morning Universe article, okay? And it says, Mars Mayhem. Is the Mars mission doomed to fail? Again, by Leona Venturis, the space correspondent. In the biological experiment laboratory of the Marineris colony Mars, a valuable soil sample has been lost. The loss was resulting of a cooling system failure within one of the labs. As a result, a number of microbial cultures were destroyed when they experienced a rapid rise in temperature. The most valuable sample was collected from a cave at 160 kilometers, 100 miles distance from the Marineris colony. Initial investigations had indicated that the sample could potentially contain the first proof of life on Mars. "It's a huge blow," said Ava Harper, a biologist in the Marineris lab. "Having recently joined the team of biological researchers here on Mars, I was itching to get my microscope on this sample." The cooling system failed due to a technical fault, which went unnoticed by researchers until temperatures had climbed too high to be remedied. A warning echoed throughout the colony, calling all hands to the biolab, but this was not enough to save the samples. "On Mars, any mistake can be the difference between life and death," said Mona Silveira, one of the initial designers of the colony, which was founded in 2044. "There are no easy fixes and no ready supplies of new materials or replacement parts. The colony is 80% self-sufficient, but anything that cannot be made locally, such as replacement cooler parts, must be shipped from Earth. That can take months or even years." "There's no need to despair," Ava Harper. "It's not the end of the Life on Mars project, however." Harper reassured the universe that there's no need to despair. Another expedition to the cave to collect further evidence of life is already in the works. Watch this space. The failed cooling system wasn't the only problem to beset the colonists, as, in a separate incident, a greenhouse heating lamp was damaged beyond repair, endangering the colony's food supply. Colony officials have assured the Morning Universe that current supplies will be sufficient to keep the colony fed until the arrival of the next supply ship. Is it all going wrong on Mars? That's the end of the chapter. So maybe Jazz is in big, big, big trouble for destroying a colony lamp. Check out the next video for the activity that you're going to be doing called Fact or fiction?